Hey Chicago, this is Dion coming to you live from ECSports. I haven't filmed in a few years, but I had to get a reputable replacement to help me out with the show, and this is my guy Anthony. We're going to do our thing, and we want you guys to join us every time that we're on. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, but we're just going to hit the ball rolling with sports and everything else. We're actually on a podcast as well, so it'll be easy for you guys to get in touch with us. So we're professionals in what we talk about. So if you have anything that you can add, let us know. You probably won't know as much as us, but who gives a shit? All right, so we're going to start with the Bulls. Anthony's nervous. It's his first show, so don't mind him. So we're going to talk about our Bulls and the season so far. So I'm going to just start it off by throwing my co-host under the bus. So I took him to a few games already this year just to get him acclimated to the situation. And Anthony, why don't you tell the people what you said?
Well, I had a strong opinion towards Dion. I did mention that I think the Bulls were going to make the playoffs. With that being said, I felt the East was so watered down that with the lineup that we had at hand, that would be a possibility, which I believe it still is a possibility.
Minimally.
There's a slight chance with the way that we're playing ball right now, but I do see an upside in the Dwayne Wade injury, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Okay. Right now, as I pull it up, the Bulls are in 10th place. They went from 6th to 10th in a matter of a month. They are approximately, 2 games out of the playoffs, so that's a good chance for them. But what do you think, the purpose to go to the playoffs is?
I mean, I can't say that there is a purpose to go to the playoffs. I mean, you're going to catch Cleveland at the 1 seed and probably get swept. So I understand where you're coming from there. But I think it will gain a little bit of confidence and experience for some of the younger guys who haven't been in the playoffs. Maybe leading into a couple years from now, at least they could say that they've had that feeling that they've made it. When the time comes as the team progresses, I think they'll be a little more seasoned once they get in the playoffs if they get some experience beforehand.
Okay, right now, I mean, we're talking about Cleveland. They're only up 2 on Boston, but, I mean, it is Cleveland. It's LeBron James, so we're not going to, get into that right now. But, with the Bulls, I feel like coming to the games and, being into the locker rooms and seeing their reactions to the games and everything. So I'm not going to name my source, but he's a reputable source. I talked to him last week, and I just asked him, flat out. I was like, do they care? And he was like, bro, they're in the locker room, and they're just like, hey, where are we eating tonight? And as a Chicago fan, and I go to a lot of games, and Anthony's been to a few, he can tell you, these places, they sell out, So the fans want to know, if the Bulls are serious, if Garpax really wants a winner out there, or are they just hey, we're getting, it's like the old Cubs situation, we're getting the money anyway.
Right.
So why go crazy in free agency or, all of that?
Right, and I think that was, a lot of the reason that we signed some we signed some old, watered down big names.
Yeah.
And of course that's still gonna attract the names like Rondo, Wade. Those kind of names are still gonna attract people to the arena. And I think that's the problem with the upper management right now, is that they know that they can put the small pieces of the puzzle together in order to drive traffic to the arena, whether we win or not. And I just think that's the biggest problem right now, is that not even the front office is really too worried about the success of the team because, ticket sales are still high, attendance is still high. You got essentially you have 3 big names in Butler, Rondo, and Wade. And, I mean, it's a shame, it's disappointing that, we have a above middle of the pack lineup in my eyes that we aren't putting to use. I mean, I could go down the list. I think that we got a better lineup than the Pacers, who are a 6 seed right now. I just think it's just the way that the the upper management and the coaching and the direction we're going towards is.
So the words I keep hearing is, like, regardless of them making the playoffs or not, Hoiberg stays, Garpax stays. It's just like just a central line of just BS that they keep talking about. Like, they don't want to go to the playoffs. I don't want them to go to the playoffs. This is a very deep draft, but it's like you're going to be in a situation with Derrick Rose when he was drafted. Like, we have, what, a 0.5 something % chance to get the Lonzo Balls or the other players that are mentioned in this year's draft. And according to everyone, it's a deep draft. But what's one guy going to do to change this? Because you have the coach that, in my opinion, is scared to coach. I just watch him, and he's just, frightened. He's more of a front office college guy, where these Bulls need someone that's a leader. I'm not saying that Hoiberg isn't a leader. He's just not a leader amongst men right now. Not to knock him, but these are grown men that are millionaires. What can you tell them? You got to show something. You haven't won, so why should I listen to you? Dwayne Wade just looks sad every time you go in the locker room.
Right, and the problem that I have most with Hoiberg, and I talk to you about this all the time, is the rotation is just too deep, man. I mean, there's 13 guys playing in a night. You look at any good team, the same 10, 11 guys, maybe 10, 11, hit the floor. You're mostly looking at about 9.
Yeah.
And then, the situational play, the night in and night out play, the point guard swapping. I mean, we can't get in any rhythm. And the problem with that is, again, what I said about Wade going out, I think it's beneficial for the team. I mean, I know people may not agree, but at the same time, you got a guy who plays on Monday and he's out on Tuesday, and he plays on Thursday and he's out on Friday, and there's just no chemistry there. And going forward, we know he's not going to be the team shooting guard anyways. He's 35 years old, and that's just kind of where we're at. But at the same time, there's guys like a guy like Bobby Portis, who I personally love. He gets no minutes in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He starts a game, and they close the game out with Nico, and I just don't understand. Such a high-energy guy doesn't play at the biggest moment of the games.
I've been going to these games since the year 2000. The Bulls are in love with overseas players. I mean, how many times were they telling us, hey, Nico Mirotic, he's like the next blah, blah, blah. That's just what they do. They build up a guy, and then he gets here, and he's trash. I'm telling you right now, our days, at least start thinking about right now, our days of a chance are over. Our chances were when Derrick Rose was healthy, and we had Noah and Taj and Ben Gordon and all of them in those awesome, Boston series. That was our chance. And then we had a brief chance that year that LeBron hit that shot in the corner when we were in the Eastern Conference Finals, almost there. It's just, LeBron is like the Jordan of the era. You can keep trying, but it's just not happening. You got to realize that until we get that superstar, it's not happening. Derrick Rose was our superstar. Unfortunately, things happen, and I am disgusted. And I'll tell each fan, whoever I say, I hate when everyone just demolishes Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was like running Chicago when he was here. He didn't do anything to get injured. The guy got injured, and everybody just talks crap. And then they come around when some bum that gets traded here twice this year tries to wear number 1. To me, that's disrespectful as hell. Like, Derrick Rose was the guy that, instilled some winning stuff here in Chicago. Dude, Thibodeau was here, Derrick. We had a great team. Like, we had a chance, and, that's just how Chicago fans are. Like, y'all, he's hurt, he's a bum, and this and that. Come on, man. Like, that guy got us to where we had to get. And, they traded him off for a freaking Snickers bar and a Twix. Freaking Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah are gone for pretty much Robin Lopez and, I'm sorry, who else? Jerian Grant? Derrick Rose. We're talking about that. And he's not having an awful season. He's averaging 17 points.
Yeah, 17
and 5 or 6 assists. I'm sorry, that's better than what the hell we were doing. I just think sometimes you got to be loyal to the guys that work there out. Yeah, he said some stuff through his brother, but you guys got to realize, like, I used to always be in my granddad's house. I grew up in the same neighborhood as him. Over there, you have to be protected. He was protected by his brother, so at the end of the day, he only knew basketball. Then he went home. They protected the hell out of him, and now he's a millionaire, so they did something right. So for people to think that he should be this type of way and that type of way, you have to go back to where he started and where he is now. Like, I just think Chicago fans are sometimes disrespectful. That's just my opinion. What's yours?
I see where you're coming from.
Tell the truth, because you've talked about it before.
I see where you're coming from a standpoint of, the guy he obviously didn't choose to get hurt.
Yeah.
He was an MVP, an amazing athlete. He got, some unfortunate injuries that, obviously are uncontrollable throughout the game. Now, the way that he handled himself throughout the process, I don't know if I firmly agree with. As far as the comments that he made, or, You
mean about the family?
Right. Family is obviously number one, but at the same time, this is your livelihood. This is what got you to the point of being able to provide and stuff like that. This is what you love. This is what you've done your whole life. You worked for this exact moment, and then to just kind of drift away from that once you've made that.
Isn't that what the fans did to him? You got to realize. Some people don't realize these guys are freaking human beings. You think he doesn't read? People saying, "Oh, Derrick Rose is washed up. Trade him, get him out of here." He's not. He reads. He sees everything that people are saying. So he's like, you know what? Fuck you. If you don't want me to be here, then I'm gonna tell you what I really feel. Like I played my butt off. Thibodeau plays these guys to the freaking max. Luol Deng is nowhere to be found now because he used to play 40 minutes a game. The Lakers shut him down because of money, but everybody knows. Derrick Rose used to play 38 to 40. They used to get ran into the ground. Noah's probably going to have to retire. Think about these players that Thibodeau killed. Nothing against him, but Derrick Rose, I'll say it forever. Derrick Rose shouldn't have been in the game when he tore his ACL. Would that mean he wouldn't tear it? I don't know. But think about the guys that Thibodeau played the hell out of right now to this point. Derrick Rose is actually on the top of that list because he's still playing consistently when everybody thought he was the guy that stunk and his career's over. We're talking Noah. He's probably going to retire. We're talking Dang. He's not playing right now. And we're talking Derrick. And then the other guys, I can't even tell you.
I think we have, one existing player from
there? Yeah. Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
And Jimmy was a rookie.
That's it. Now that time is gone.
What you said makes sense, but people have to realize that these guys are human beings. They're not just robots that play basketball and they don't have any feelings. I see it. I went into the locker room. I think it was the day that Dwayne Wade and Jimmy just went off on the other players, and I simply asked Dwayne, because I think Hoiberg said this is the worst game we've played this year, and I asked Dwayne, does he agree with that? He was like, yep. It's just a simple, answer. He just doesn't feel it. He doesn't have that enthusiasm. And a couple of guys came in off camera, the announcers for the Miami Heat, and he pretty much said, I really miss it. I miss being there. I miss the situation. And he was just a little down, and he was talking about his kids and, everything, but his head was down, and he was just in a major situation, damn, it was almost like, that's just my opinion. It was just like, what did I do? Why am I here? So sometimes, it just gets to the point where you're just fed up, but as fans, I just think, there should be a little more respect for, the players that we've lost and what they did for us in the past. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, absolutely. I think you make a good point there. Mm-hmm. And as far as, Wade and that whole situation, I think it could go for any sport. It could go for youth sports. Yeah. And the problem is people say, you're losing, you got a bad attitude. The bottom line is this. If you're going to practice all week and show up somewhere for a game and you guys just keep losing, mm-hmm. You start to question, what is the point of showing how much enthusiasm and heart I have towards this game when we're playing for nothing? You're essentially these guys are getting paid.
Yeah.
But they want to win at the same time. I think people forget that. People think right away because these are high-profile guys and they're making, big bucks that it's just like, oh, he's making money. He doesn't care to win or lose. Now, yeah, there's probably some guys like that.
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony. But at the same time, I just think, it drains you as a human being to show up somewhere and keep losing every single night when you give it your all. I mean, at some point you're just like, you know what, I'm done with this.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, you and I always know we're going to obviously stay with the Bulls. I think they got about less than 20 games left. You hate to say it, but, I think missing the playoffs will be slightly better for them than to go against LeBron or Boston in the first round. It just, a situation that doesn't really make sense. I heard yesterday one of the more national guys said that Jimmy Butler, I think it was Jay Williams on ESPN, he's playing more like he wished he was traded. He's just totally different now, and his trade stock is falling because he just is, going through the motions. He pretty much thought he was going from worst to 1 or 2 in the playoffs. Boston is obviously holding on to that pick, which is smart by Ainge because he can see where his draft stock is going to fall. The draft is deep, so if he did get a trade, he can still get some good depth on his because he has, I don't know what Brooklyn was thinking trading for. I guess they thought they were going to be in the playoffs with Garnett and Pierce coming over there, but Boston has their number 1 pick next year. It's not protected, so it's like, what the hell were they thinking?
Right.
But moving forward, we'll report on the Bulls, and we'll get you guys some locker room footage as well, just so you can see like the situation going on there. But we're gonna move into the next situation, which is I'll let you handle this one because I can't stand them. But we can talk about the Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah.
The NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
The terrible free agency that we've accumulated. So basically, what I'm looking for in the draft, now that we've given Mike Glennon $45 million, so I'm gonna go ahead.
19 guaranteed.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume, just like I think everybody else, that Mike Glennon's gonna be the quarterback on week 1.
Okay.
Simply because this is another upper, management it's just a mockery.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with that 3rd pick, a lot of people thought we were maybe going to grab a quarterback.
Apparently, this year isn't a year where quarterbacks are in abundance, meaning you don't have a Cam Newton or a Peyton Manning type of year where you got that guy where, oh, you know what, this guy's going to be number 1. To where you got some guys that are like middle grade, which is why this is the only thing I'll give the Bears is he probably needs a couple of years. So you signed Glennon for 2 or 3. Was it 2 or 3 years? 3 years, I believe.
I think it was a 3-year contract.
Yeah, you sign him. Let him pretty much go with the motions and get an 8 or 9 win season, if that. And, the other guy is right behind. Not really behind him, but just being mentored by the coach. Hopefully that we'll get a coaching staff that helps and probably have like a Aaron Rodgers situation. But even though Aaron Rodgers was sought off in that draft too, so everybody knew like he fell, but he was a guy that everybody was like, oh, he's going to be good. None of these players really, they're all those potential type players. I don't know if because they're athletes. There's a guy at Texas Tech. There's a guy at
who I love.
He really likes this guy. Obviously, Clemson. I just feel like, to me, if you go to the championship in college in an awesome conference and you play Alabama and you actually beat them, twice.
Beats them once and throws for a combined almost 900 yards.
Them in the air. I just don't think you're that bad. There's guys getting drafted. The guy with the Rams, he played for Cal, but the other guy at Philly, he actually did better. He played for like North Dakota?
Right.
I'm not a freaking computer genius, but I know these guys where they went. But it doesn't matter like if you played in freaking Montana or wherever. If you can play football, you can play football. Does it help that you're playing Alabama and ACC teams? Yeah. So I look at it as that. If I can get a guy that comes in that we know that's our guy in a few years, of course, get Glennon. But why give him so much money?
Right, and with a quarterback, it's an investment.
Yeah.
You got to hang on to it for a little while, like you said, like the Packers do. They do it great. They get the right guy. They let him sit on the bench. They let him learn. They let him understand the offense.
Because most of the Packers are through the draft.
Right.
Period.
Right. I mean, look at the guys that they have drafted. They've been getting these 23 through 32 type picks and making something out of them.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you gotta have a front office that knows how to draft. It doesn't matter what position you're in. I mean, at some point it does, but at some point it becomes the diamonds in the rough. I mean, look at that Seattle team that won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They had one first-round pick, Earl Thomas out of Texas, and the rest were 5th and 6th round picks, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman. I mean, Bobby Wagner was a 3rd-round pick.
Bennett.
I mean, those are the kind of guys that you have to dig deep within and find. Bruce Irvin, they drafted in the 1st round. He was supposed to be a 4th-round pick. He turned into a 4-5 speed linebacker, signed a huge deal. I mean, that's the kind of front office that you need to have.
We finally got a viewer that asked the question. He says, we're not going to spend the 3rd pick on Watson. We need to get so much, though. See, when people, fans, when they say that, it makes sense. But, like, do you think we should get defense? Like the guy in Alabama, he's going to be available. But at the end of the day, you have to have a legitimate quarterback. Now, my comment that I just made sort of gets conflicted because the Bears went to the Super Bowl with a Rex Grossman. But if you take that team out, which lost, by the way, you're talking Peyton Manning, you're talking Eli Manning, you're talking Tom Brady, hence the hat, and you're talking about, the guys that are running the team. Tom Brady was a 6th, 7th round pick. I understand that, we shouldn't spend the pick on a quarterback, but we have to, the first 2 rounds, you got to get a quarterback in there that's going to be legitimately your future. Because you can't, especially in Chicago, you can't keep losing and expect people to, like, be okay with it. You get tired of it, We had Jay Cutler for so long. We kept just hoping and praying. Like, Jay Cutler got us to the NFC Championship, and then he bitched up and stood on the sideline with a stupid face, and I hate him ever since. So you have to have a quarterback that is legitimately ready. If you name most of the teams in the NFL, 90% of them are quarterbacks that are going to, that's the guy. They're not flipping and flopping like Miami was, where they don't know who the hell their quarterback is. Right.
Right.
So who do you think they're drafting in the 3rd pick? Or what would you do if you were the...
Thank you for asking that, because I have no idea what those type of guys are going to do. Now, if I was picking, there's 2 options for me. The first option is you got T.J. McDonald in free agency right now, who I think is a great safety from the Rams.
He's still available?
Still available. I think they should go after him. And then if they're going to do that, then they can go with an offensive pick for the third pick. Now, with that being said, do I think they're going to go after him? Absolutely not. So, I think that they should go ahead and draft a safety with the 3rd.
Draft a safety?
I think they should draft a safety.
Didn't they just pick up a safety?
They picked up a late round safety last year.
No, like in free agent. Didn't they get like...
Oh, yeah, they got Quentin Demps.
Okay.
Who is old and...
But with the 3rd pick, you got to get on the field right now. You're not going to sign a freaking
right, exactly
safety and then have him on a bench.
Right,
I just
exactly.
don't think that's what they're going to do.
But my whole thing with Quentin Demps is I don't think he's I don't think they're looking at him as a starter.
But they sign him?
Correct.
Why? Why would I sign a guy in free agency to sit on the bench? If I'm going to sign a third, that's where I think the third pick ain't happening. If I'm signing the third pick, he better be starting, bro.
Right, exactly. And
that's what I mean.
I think that their best bet right now, because
he's reading
That's a good point. We got a question that just came in. Said he would love to get Watson, but doesn't think we have the coaching to make him excel. That's a good point because now Jay Cutler.
Mm-hmm. Jay Cutler.
Here's the only thing I'll say about Jay Cutler.
Good coaches behind him.
He was a talented quarterback. He went through 7 coaches in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 year that we had a quality coach, and
when you say coaches, you mean like offensive
coordinators. We had Adam Gase, who was a great offensive coordinator. He took over for the Dolphins. They made the wild card this year.
Yeah.
That was his best season.
Mm-hmm.
To his defense, that was a little bit of an issue because if you cannot, your offensive coordinator as a quarterback is your lifeline. I mean, you look at Kyle Shanahan this year for Atlanta. Matt Ryan had an MVP season. That had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, until the last 4 minutes of the Super Bowl. But
true.
But at the same time, that is key, and that's why I agree with what you had said there, is because you're gonna have to have the right coaching in order to build up a quarterback, or any offensive threat. Now, with our defensive coach, we have Vic Fangio from the Niners, who I love. I think he's a great D coordinator.
Mm-hmm. You guys are probably related somehow, right? Fangio, the model,
I really do think he's good. I think if you look at the progression we've had since he's been here in the past 2 years, with keep in mind not many pieces to work with the first season. This season we had a fantastic front 7, although the defensive backs were brutal.
Yeah.
But I'm still sticking by, and I'm still saying we should get a safety first round.
Yeah.
Quentin Demps, I think, is going to find a bench very, very
Leroy,
quickly.
Basically, everybody else agrees with you and Anthony. I got mock drafts up, and it says that we're getting Jamal Adams or Solomon Thomas. And then a cornerback, this guy's an idiot.
That's my guy, Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, but third pick. I mean, it looks like now since they got Glennon, they're going to go, but then somebody's got Watson going to the Chargers at 7. So I just don't want to be in a situation where where Watson or whoever goes like in the first 10 picks and then he turns into a star and we got a great defensive player, but one defensive player has to be, helped out in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So we got to make sure that we're doing the best that we possibly can. So we're coming up on the last minute of the first show. What we want to do moving forward is want to make sure that you guys are, in tune with what we want to do, and we'll answer all your questions, and we'll throw out anything that we hear in passing to throw on the show. Like I said, we just started it. I got my guy Amon saying shake my dick. He must mean something like, I'm not on the show. You know what? Bring your ass in the suburbs. Maybe you can get on the show. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're doing this just like, you would want. We're asking questions in the locker room that you would want to know. So the more things that we get, the best we can do. We're not just guys, just talking on a show. We actually go to the games. We got credentials, so we just want to make sure that we're utilizing our credentials to get some questions asked to you, because we want to make sure that the word gets out about ECSports. So for Anthony, this is Dion. We're happy that you joined us, and we'll be back soon. We're going to put everything on our Facebook and Instagram pages where you can find us, and we'll make sure that we'll do that soon. Leroy has one last. We just got Prince, okay? He ain't shit. We need D linemen. Yeah, D linemen are huge.
Jonathan Allen.
Allen is good, but obviously Myles Garrett is going to go first, and then it looks like Allen fell a lot.
Yeah, he didn't have too good of a combine.
Yeah, and combine, schmombine, we got to make sure that everybody understands that once a guy gets on the field, it's the best way to do. So we're actually going to be doing 2 shows today just to get everything out. Might be on live, might not, but it will be on our podcast either way. So like I said, we'll post everything on our pages so you know where to get us, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, Chicago.